another Aussie legend. This is the Outside Gate with Steve Hall on the L4 Media Network. And for episode 71, Glen Bell, how are you?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Steve.
Cool, man. I was just telling Belly that it's I'm excited to talk to him. I grew up seeing his picture in ADB magazine and Trail and Track every month, So I had an '86 YZ125 that I wished had that Marlboro paint job on it, and that sort of thing
Oh,
as well.
yeah.
So yeah, we'll talk about that a bit later. I know it was a high maintenance bike, but yeah,
Yes,
what have you been up to a bit
definitely.
lately? What have you been up to lately? Like I know you've been. We always see you at the Aussie Nationals representing Penrite, but what have you been up to since they finished?
Yeah, I just kids and going practicing with my son and doing bits and pieces. So he's got the bug at the moment. So he's got a YZ125 and I play around on that a little bit as well, just to make sure he's up to speed and getting the thing set up, properly. So yeah, we go out and go up to MX Farm up in Queensland here, and
Yeah,
yeah, it's a good track and good training place. Yeah, so it's great.
yeah, nice. Yeah. I've never been to MX Farm. Yeah, that's I've been to lucky enough to when I was helping out Moto Limited, Trent flew me up there a couple of times to help out, and I got to get to a few different tracks, but I haven't been to that one yet. Yeah, that's the way.
Yeah, north of
So
Gympie, that one is. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. What? How old is your young bloke?
Oh, he's only 14, so
Okay, yeah,
he's only learning, and
yeah.
he rides quite well, but he wants to start racing next year, so we'll see
Ah,
what happens.
that's exciting, man. That's cool. Yeah,
Well, with the internet and everything, I can't get away from them. I'm trying to keep him away from bikes, but he goes, "Oh, you used to race." I'm
yeah,
going, "Yeah," and then he looks up everything, and we're all. And he's going,
yeah,
"Yeah, I need to get a bike and all that sort of stuff." I got him a bike just to run around on the farm, just to,
yeah,
CRF 110, and then he got an 85, and then he's got a 125 now. So it's all progressing
yeah,
as
yeah,
it does.
yeah. That's it. Yeah, he's figured out what a badass his old man was now. So that's it. Fantastic. No, that'll be good to see. I like it when there's a second generation getting around. Especially like it's, you know, it sounds like
Mm.
he's found some love for it himself. So it's not like you've pushed him, that's even
Oh
better.
no, that's right.
I,
Yeah.
I like it when it's that way because sometimes kids get pushed in,
Mm.
and it's for the parents. But when the kid just decides himself, and especially a lot of times when they start a little bit later, it works out pretty good too. Sometimes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, you
Yeah.
started later. You started sort of later into motocross yourself, didn't you? So
Oh, definitely late. But I rode trials before that, so
yeah,
that was. I think I was like 13 or something. I got a trials bike, a little TY80, and
yeah,
rode that around. But it taught you the fundamentals of how to ride a motorcycle, like standing up all the time. Because
mm,
back then, like everyone sat down most of the time we riding motocross bikes. They hardly knew how to make a motocross bike. So when I started, it was the first. It was a full floaty Suzuki, and it was like that was the first, single shock rear suspension bike out there.
mm.
So they've come a long way from back then.
Yeah, that's right. Um, we might, as soon as that we're talking about you riding trials and the early days, we'll jump straight into my favorite question every show is when did the bug bite? When did that? What was that first moment where you were like, oh wow, these dirt bikes are awesome?
Yeah. Oh, my father just got me a like a Dexon Daredevil, so it was a little mini bike, lawnmower thing that
Yeah,
you ride around the paddock sort of thing, and that's about it. But my cousin's got these little Kawasaki K1, like these little road registered little 50s. And they were such a cool, like a 1972 model or something, and they were just such a cool bike, and I just went, man, that'd be so good to ride one of those things around. And then a friend at school, um, his father was into trials and things, and he had a trials bike, and they used to do competition trials. And so my father got me a little TY80. And so it just started from there. I was just hanging out with my mate all the time, riding trials. And then we'd started competitions as well. So I used to just ride on the weekends, just competition, and ride around the front yard off the porch and stuff of the house, and, just try to do balance tricks and all that sort of stuff. And that sort of gave me a lot of, ways to ride a motorcycle. So, and when Craig Dack got me into basically motocross, because his father was a trials rider and I used to compete against him.
Yeah.
And then Craig went out and he had a RM80, and then he got a 125, and he said, go for a ride on it. And I went for a ride on it, and this is pretty good fun. So I was a motor mechanic at the time, or an apprentice motor mechanic, and so I bought a RM125. The first it was an RM125X, so that was the first single shock, but it was like a factory bike. They were really good in their day, and and just I was going to club days with Craig and stuff, and we'd do really well at the club days, and people would be talking, goes, man, this guy stands up all the time, That's what you do now, so it was a bit of an advantage riding trials at the time. But it was a great learning experience, going from trials to motocross. And then I did a Stephen Gall motocross school with Craig as well. And because I'm 2 years older than Craig, and I got my license, and I'd take him to Hungry Creek every weekend, So because he was only 16, I was 18, and we just rode every weekend at Hungry Creek, and learnt Supercross up there and things like that when it was just starting. So the first Supercross was in Sydney Showgrounds, and I went to that, and I just learnt to do doubles and quads.
Yeah.
And
what was that? Is that 81? 81?
Yeah.
81 in Sydney there, yeah. And there
It
was
was
a
packed.
couple of
Like,
Americans.
it was huge.
They brought a couple of
Rex Staten.
Yeah.
Rex Staten and
Is that the one with Mike Bell? Did Mike Bell?
No, that was Mike Bell came to Brisbane.
Okay, yeah.
It was a bit later, yeah.
Yeah.
But, no, it was Rex Staten, Rocket Rex Staten, and
yeah.
I can't remember who else there was, but it was huge, And I'm going, I wish I should have rode C grade, in that one. But and then I later on rode some Supercross and stuff, like down in Melbourne. Where was it in Melbourne? I can't remember now, but it was down in Melbourne. One of the stadiums, they had Chuck Sun and a few of the Americans coming over.
I think one of the early Melbourne ones might have been at Flemington, even like the showgrounds, Melbourne showgrounds at Flemington there.
That was that's where Chuck Sun and the stuff.
The showgrounds in the I think it was sort of in where they do the show jumping of the horses and stuff. Like it was in like that equestrian bit. Well,
it was definitely.
Where
we had our
Melbourne
pits in the stables. We had the pits in the stables. So it was But it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's
so I rode like C grade on a 125 all year, winning a lot of C grade meetings and bits and pieces, because we could ride 125 and unlimited races because they used to have unlimited races, because it was 125, 250, 500, but they had an unlimited race, so you could ride your 125 in your unlimited, and we'd do that just to get more rides. And then they said, we don't grade you on a 125, you have to have a 250. So the following year I bought a 250, and they graded me like within a couple of months, So I just wanted to race with the A graders. So then I just used to race. I bought after the 125, I bought another 125, and I rode that for 6 months, then sold that and bought a 465. What was that? A X, and then it was I remember it was a Z models. Anyway, this 465. I went up to Conondale and I got third at Conondale, just with all, Born Style, and there was Matt Carlson and a few of the boys up there. So
Yeah.
it was good achievement. So then I just started traveling around, doing more races and racing with the big boys.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. Yeah. I'm just picturing an RM465 at Conondale. It sounds awesome. It sounds
Oh, it
awesome.
was
Yeah.
Conondale. It hasn't changed. So
Yeah.
it was an awesome track for a big ball bike.
Mm.
And yeah, so that was the first time I rode at Conondale on a big bike, was on a Suzuki RM465.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a fantastic place, that one. That's
Mm,
just imagine if Conondale had a gigantic parking area.
yeah.
What could be done there, man? Like that is
Mm,
it's world class there. I reckon. Anyway,
mm.
I
Well,
reckon.
all the BMX rounds that we used to do up there, that was huge.
Yeah.
They get a fair few people in there.
Yeah. 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 Just imagine if you could park a heap of semis in there, though. And like,
Mm,
yeah, that
yeah, yeah, definitely.
you could do any world class event you want out of that place. I think it's
Yeah, definitely.
absolutely fantastic,
Mm,
fantastic
mm.
facility. Yeah, yeah, that's it. So when you're a mechanic, Glenn, so were you a bike mechanic or cars or?
No, a car mechanic. So I
Yeah,
started at Sutton's at Homebush. So it's a Holden dealership.
yeah,
And I just loved anything with engines. Like I'd be drawing pictures in school, like, cars and bikes and bits and pieces. And, on the way home, you'd stop at Parramatta on the way home on the train and walk down to the bike shops and have a look at all the bikes, pick up brochures of all the different bikes. And, I thought those XR75s with the grey tanks,
yeah,
one of the first ones. They were so cool, those bikes in the day.
yeah,
And yeah, but ended up skipping that and getting the 125 because I was getting too big for, you know,
yeah.
um, 75s and things like that. So
Checking out the bike shops used to be like a day outing. It wasn't like that was like
oh
like
yeah,
back
as a kid,
as a kid,
and
like
that just
I love
burns into you.
where I live now. Like I've moved around Victoria a bit, but where I live now is where I grew up, and we had our one little Honda shop here that my mate Scrivo runs. And they'd mostly have farm bikes, and he'd have his own CR and XR, but that was sort of the only ones at the shop. They'd be mostly farm bikes at the service this area, but we'd go to Bendigo now and again, and I'd do the rounds of just to see all the different brands. They had all four brands down there, and they'd have each motocross bike, the sizes lined up, and all that sort of thing.
Yeah,
And then the big thrill was if you got to go to Melbourne and you walk down Elizabeth Street. That's where they were all in Elizabeth Street, Melbourne. It was all like
oh
every
yeah,
brand,
yeah,
these huge stops. And Peter Stevens was like 2 stories, and
yeah,
you could just
and still going now.
just
Yeah,
drill it. Yeah, that shop's still open, I think. Last time I
mm,
went to that 2-story one in Elizabeth Street, that was they were kind of treating it like a clearance center. So because they've built, Steve A's, they're big, huge joints everywhere. I actually think
yeah,
they're not just in Victoria now, too, are they? I think they've got one
no,
in Sydney as well now. I think, yeah. But that used to be
mm,
a big thrill seeing all these CRs lined up and all these YZs
oh
lined up.
yeah,
It's like, like this is in a magazine. This is for real. It was amazing. Yeah,
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
cool. Um, Tell us about sort of leading up to getting factory support or factory ride with Yamaha.
Well, I was just working as a mechanic at the time, and then I was riding the Suzuki's that I was bought, and I ended up 2 years after I started riding motocross, I won the Australian 125 title, and then I was doing the Yamaha Gold Cup as well, and I was on Yamahas at this stage because um, Brian Collins Yamaha,
Yeah,
they got a bit of support through Yamaha and says, we'll give you some bikes cheap. So I was buying my bikes cheap through Brian Collins,
yeah,
and then the week later was the last round of the Mr. Motocross series, and they had the 125 Gold Cup, and
yeah,
I won that series as well. So
Where
within
was that?
two,
Where was that at?
that was abroad for the last round.
Okay, yeah, Broady. So
And then,
which year was that? That was at 83.
hang on, was it abroad? Yeah, I think it was abroad. Yeah,
Yeah,
83.
last round of 83 was Broadford. Yeah, that was
Yeah, yeah,
the one where something happened to Gooley and Goof won it and
that's
that
right.
sort of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's actually a good video on YouTube of it. Yeah,
Mm.
Neil Crompton's commentating
Yeah,
and
Neil
everything.
Crump.
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Oh,
really
yeah,
cool.
definitely. It's full
He's
on.
so young and he's like Crompton's voice is all squeaky and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
really cool, man. Yeah.
But that's where he cut his teeth
That's
doing
he
all that
did,
sort of stuff,
yeah.
you
That's
know?
a
Yeah.
lot of moto guys, a lot of young ones, they don't realize that. You tell young
Mm.
fans that like they know Crompton from calling V8 supercars for like 30 years longer.
Yeah.
And it's like, he was a handy rider too.
Well,
Like,
he rode, yeah, and
yeah, he was
he
a
could
handy
ride
rider before,
motocross.
and then he
Yeah,
grabbed the
definitely.
microphone and he
Yeah,
was
that took off.
the live announcer sort of, for Mr.
Mm.
Motocross. And then when they videoed it, he was the basically the TV guy as well. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Cool. Yeah.
Mm.
Sorry, I got off on a tangent there and interrupted. Yeah, but yeah,
No,
that's
but
it.
then, yeah, so then after I won that championship, Yamaha, so it was Toshiba Yamaha dealer team at the time. They said, we'd like you to ride for us full time next year. So I went, oh, yeah, I was like chomping at the bit to do that. And I went to the boss at Sutton's and I said, look, I was only just out of my trade and I was just a fully featured mechanic at that stage. And I says, oh, look, I have to give notice. And they go, what? What are you going to do? I said, oh, I've got to deal with Yamaha Australia, you know. He said, what? Can you ride bikes? So I said, yeah, I can ride them, okay. So, yeah, I gave them 2 weeks' notice and I left the dealership and went and rode Yamaha full time. So
That's
that was
it.
just like, and it was so good just to race like as a professional. And I was just going, man, I'll do this forever. And forever, that's not forever. I'm telling you, it goes too fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Geez. Yeah.
So I rode professionally for like 13 years.
Mm.
And, and obviously just rode bits and pieces after that, the Thumper Nats and, I did the Fink Desert Race 19 years after the last time I did it it was probably 85 or something or other. So
Yeah.
it was,
Yeah.
but it was good to go do that again.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I remember, I've watched some. So there's a few good videos getting around about. I used to love reading about Fink in the magazines. There's a few good videos getting around YouTube and that there now. And yeah, it was pretty commonplace for the top motocross guys to head out there. It's like,
Oh, definitely.
you'd have like Phil Lovett and those top sort of desert guys. I'm forgetting a few of their names of the time. And then all you blokes would turn up as well. And yeah, it was it's cool. You don't get a lot of crossover like that anymore. Like you get people like Ty Simmons who did one and then the other, but you don't get many that just, I suppose Todd Waters did the Enduro series a while ago, but yeah.
Yeah, he went well. He
And
got second in it. Yeah.
he did Hatter and yeah, so he's probably the only one that sort of done a bit of that. I thought that was super cool when he did that, but yeah, it was bit too much.
Yeah.
Bit too much on him though. I think was like,
that was a lot on him.
Wore him down a bit. There was one weekend there where he
it was Green Park up in Mackay.
He did
so it was
one
2
on the
days.
Sunday, one on the Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was at the same area, so it was like the enduro track was right next to the motocross track, and so he raced on Saturday, and then he rode the motocross on Sunday. But it would have been pretty tough.
He didn't show it. He didn't show it. Though.
No, he rode unreal. Yeah, he was pretty fit as well. So yeah,
machine, absolute machine. So yeah, Yamaha was I remember all the jerseys. Remember the Brian
Toshiba Yamaha dealer team.
Brian Collins and then
Brian Collins.
and then the Marlboro. So they sort of went from Toshiba to the Marlboro, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, they got sponsored by Philip Morris, and It
Yeah.
went Marlboro. Same with Peter Brock in that same time with
Yes.
the
Yeah.
the Daylo bike
Yeah. Yeah.
Commodores they ran, and
That's
we had
right.
the
Yeah.
bikes, and then Mick Doohan had the road race bikes as well.
Oh,
So they
okay.
were
Yeah.
all Marlboro at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 cool. Like I love that car of Peter Brock's, and yeah, like I said earlier on, I love those. That's right up there. Probably it's definitely my favorite ever look of an Aussie race bike. It's probably definitely my top three of any. There's one like the '93 Pro Circuit bikes.
Yeah, yeah,
Probably my favorite.
yeah.
But yeah, those 86 was it. I love it. To soft spot too, because I had one. Like mine just had a couple of stickers on the back guard. It
Mm.
didn't have any flash graphics or anything, or any
Yeah,
flash paint job.
they were a nightmare to paint
Yeah,
because everything.
yeah,
The first year, everything was painted. All the
yeah,
calipers, you had to strip all the wheels down, hubs, and rims. Everything was painted,
yeah.
and it was a
White
nightmare.
exhaust, white engine.
Yeah,
Like,
it was a nightmare. So then every year after that, so I did the second year, and I'd had enough of it, and I couldn't get to practice enough, and so I ended up going to Honda at
yeah,
that time, and and then I stayed there for forever basically.
yeah,
So
yeah.
mm,
Because the 87s they had a black motor and that
yeah,
sort of
yeah,
thing. They
they
weren't
always had.
they didn't go quite as crazy with the Marlboro paint job. Yeah,
No, but it was still full on. That's
still
for
full
sure.
on. Yeah, yeah.
But
Because it was actually
when I left Marlboro, it was they did less and less. Like so, when Peter Melton, David Armstrong rode them, there was not as much paint. That's for sure.
yeah they backed it right off, and then
Mm.
and then they sort of amped it up a bit when they went to the Peter Jackson bikes and they were going all blue and everything. They sort of amped it up a bit, didn't they? So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, went a bit crazy again. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. That's the way. So yeah, tell us a bit about, I guess, the change from Yamaha to Honda. That was you probably fair difference in the bike. I know, even though I have a fondness for the 86 YZ, that wasn't always regarded as the greatest bike, but mid late 80s Hondas were certainly regarded as good bikes.
Oh, they were unreal. When I went, so it was '88. I had an '88 model, and it was like, holy hell, how good is this thing, you know? And then the '89 came out with the first upside down forks, and we Jeff Lease come back in '89 to race the because he'd been racing in America, like
Yeah,
factory bikes, and he come out to do the Australian titles, which he ended up winning all three. But I beat him once in the first 500 race. So it was, I couldn't believe it. Like he was second behind me off the start, and I'm just going, he's going to come past any second now, and he never did. And I just started pulling away, and I'm just like, you're kidding? Like I couldn't believe it. But anyway, the second one, he wasn't going to let me win the second one as well. But we were just on bone stock. They just come out, so that was the end of '88,
yeah.
and that was up in Mackay. It was really hot and humid, and they were just all stock bikes, but they were really good bikes at that time.
Yeah, I can remember. I always loved reading the shootouts, and like every magazine, like you just knew sort of from sort of 86 through to like almost through to 96 that the Honda was going to be good. They were just great bikes, like they just
Oh
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah. So
yeah.
you made a pretty good
Ricky
decision.
Johnson. They had they had the production rule in America,
Mm.
and Ricky Johnson, Jeff Stanton, all those guys had to ride basically production based bikes, but they were a bit tricky. But they were
Yeah,
so they were pretty good. It was like no two ways about it.
absolutely, absolutely. Did you speaking of like lease gear and that sort of thing? Like, did you have who were you sort of looking up to when you were first, first on the scene? Did you have a guy that you sort of looked
I
up
was,
to?
I was always Anthony Gunter, Stephen Gall, Trevor Williams, those guys
Yeah,
early on, and I just wanted to get in and race with those guys. There was Peter
yeah,
Carney as well, so
yeah,
Beetle Bailey,
yeah,
they
yeah,
were factory Suzuki guys,
yeah,
and but Peter Carney was a gunner on the 125, and and Frank Pons was running that team at the time, and he was winning a lot at on the 125 at that time, Peter Carney. So and it was great to watch him riding around. That's for sure.
yeah. You mentioned Anthony Gunter, so I was gonna, I was, he's on the list, but as soon as you mentioned it, yeah, just yeah, rest in peace to the great man. We
Yeah,
we
it's sad to hear.
lost him just a
But,
few days ago. It's
mm,
another Aussie legend gone. So yeah, all the best
yeah,
to
definitely. It's all coming to get us. But anyway,
yeah,
but
all the
yeah,
best to his family and friends. Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
definitely sad to hear.
I travelled a bit with Anthony. Early days when I was with Brian Collins. He and Matt Carlson, because they're both from Wollongong, they come past and picked us up, and we went up to Harvey Bay for the Melanesia 2000, I think it was. And yeah, we raced there. I was just buggered. That was the first time I've ever been past Brisbane, and and it was an eye opener, that's for sure. It was the old Bruce Highway, and it was one lane each way, and it was like, where are we going? And yeah, and then like the next week we went over to Perth, so it was we did the Southern Cross and Noble Falls and a few races over there. But yeah, so I travelled with Anthony a fair bit. And a great guy, great guy.
Yeah, yeah. I think he's probably just a little bit underrated. I think probably just because he was, you know, probably just wasn't when he was at his peak. There probably just wasn't quite the coverage, even by the time, like even the magazines and that sort of thing, they were still pretty small. Like there wasn't much to Trail and Track magazine and that sort of
Yeah,
thing. And ADB might have just been started, might not have even been started yet when he won some of those Mr. Motocross. And then, but by the time Gawley hit his straps, those magazines were booming, so.
yeah. Vince Tesserero promoted both of those guys,
Yeah.
and Stephen was a bit more, a bit better with the media than what
Charismatic,
Anthony
very
was.
charismatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
Anthony was a bit quieter and things like that. So, it's he didn't get as much limelight as what Stephen did.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, still absolutely bad dude. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Getting
he's
those
right up
getting
there.
those full factory Kawasaki's and Suzuki's and stuff, like full
Yeah,
factory bikes. We don't, never saw those that much after that. Stephen
yeah,
Gall had the full factory OW
yeah,
Yamahas and
yeah.
things. So yeah, but and then Jeff Lease had some pre-production bikes,
Yes,
which were basically the following year's ones.
yeah,
But that's about all. That's all that sort of ever happened after that.
yeah. True. Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously the Aussie scene meant a fair bit. Because like that well, it's not not even a cake. So that SR 500 that Grant
Mm,
had, that's still like he's still got it. That's up at the at his shop there.
mm,
That was one of like a handful in the world, and I think it's one of like
yeah.
someone was telling me it's one of only two remaining ones in the world. There's Grant's one, and there's one in some
I thought
collection
Trevor
somewhere.
Williams had one. I thought Trevor Williams had one, but
Oh,
yeah,
okay, maybe, yeah, maybe
yeah,
there is more then, yeah.
mm,
Yeah, but super rare, and then and Gawley getting sent like OWs and that sort of thing, to race
yeah,
in Australia. It's pretty cool, and and I do remember, Leesky, he famously was it his 84 Mr. Motocross, he was
Yeah,
riding the water cooled CR 500. That was,
yeah, that's
not
right.
a thing yet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone was on the air cooled, and Alicia's
yeah.
got this water cooled
That
one.
was
You know,
kind
the
of his
first
really
Honda.
dominant year, and that sort of thing. And yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
There's some cool photos getting around, and they're speculating what's going on, with this. And
yeah, oh, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Very cool. Talking about you driving around, Belly, you guys raced a lot back then, man. Like, you guys,
Oh, it was just
you
about every
you got
weekend.
you
Hey,
got the gate drops in. Like, it was crazy. How much you raced. Just always something on. Yeah,
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 and we drove everywhere. You know, so we'd always stay at mates' places and things like that. You know, and go practice with them and whatever during the week because you'd be going from Adelaide to Melbourne or something, and I'd stay with Lee Hogan or whoever down there. And the same when they used to come up here, and we'd all bunk up and go do some training and bits and pieces, and but it was good days. It was just a big convoy of guys in the high ace vans and whatever, something Land Cruisers towing trailers and bits and
yeah.
pieces, so it was good times. But we raced that much, like big meetings, like all over the place all the time.
Mm. Yeah, high ace van. The high ace van is yeah. I've got like some international listeners, like quite a few American listeners, and that they won't know what a high ace van is, but it's you have to look it up. It's hard to explain. I don't think Americans have anything even like that. But the high ace van, it's a little Toyota van, and it is absolutely, it's iconic with Australian motocross. It's right up there with like Go the Rat gear and
Oh yeah, yeah,
the
no,
Mr.
definitely.
Motocross trophy and a few things like that. This is like, that's just as Aussie moto as it gets. The high ace van with the stickers in the back window and all that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, fantastic, fantastic.
No, it was good old days, that's for sure. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
didn't have mobile phones. You had to organise stuff to be there and do things. We used to do a lot of promo stuff for Mr. Motocross, and Vince would take us around to all the TV stations and do radio interviews, and yeah, just to promote Mr. Motocross. And they were the ones where they got really big crowds too. And they used to be five deeper all the way around the circuit, sort of thing. And it was a big thing. Like Vince was, way ahead of his time, like
yes,
with making that rack gear, and everyone was sponsored by rack gear, and you could design your own gear, and it just went from strength to strength, that stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, he's an amazing guy. What he did for the sport, like with the Mr. Motocross series, the way that sort of amped things up. Like, I can remember,
Oh, look at the posters and things. You've
oh,
never seen a poster like that.
fantastic, and
It's
yeah, everyone knew about it. Like, it's probably never been like that since. Like, maybe as far as like mainstream people knew of Mr. Motocross, they probably might never have seen it or knew the riders, but they knew there was a
mm,
series called Mr. Motocross.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, definitely, because those
yeah,
posters were everywhere as
yeah,
well.
yeah, that's
And
right.
and
Yeah,
and kids just love them.
yeah. Well,
So
posters were,
when it come to town,
yeah,
all the kids see the posters and they just go, "Oh, I've got to go watch this."
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Even to get a poster, because
Yeah.
posters were a big deal, like that.
Oh,
Was,
for sure. Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, they
Um,
were stuck in surf shops and just everywhere.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, he's a bit of a marketing genius, eh? The old Vince. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Great stuff. Um, I know I've read before about how your trials particularly helped you with Supercross, with Supercross skills, and you were a very good Supercross rider. Yeah, tell us about
Yeah,
that.
I, yeah, it just come naturally to me, really. We just went to, like I said, went to Hungry Creek a lot, and they had some decent jumps there and things, and just practicing. And I'd watch videos of the Americans riding and things like that, and just trying to copy their style of riding. And it was easy for me just to stand up on bikes as well, so that comes sort of pretty naturally. Where the other guys that were into motocross earlier and never did Supercross, because Supercross started basically when I started.
Yeah.
So you sort of learned to jump, stuff like that. Where the guys like Stephen Gore, like even though he rode okay at Supercross, it was harder for him, I think. Him, Anthony Gunter, and even the guys before that, they would have had a harder time, So that was a big transition. Where now everyone just goes and rides Supercross. It's you don't even think about it.
Yeah.
But back then it was a big deal. And like I was back when I was with Brian Collins, we had a series. Alan Craig put this series. It was a 4-round series, and there was 2 rounds at Newcastle Supercross at Newcastle. And the first week, I went up there, and Danny Magoo Chandler was there. Daryl Schultz was there from America. And anyway, at the end of the night, I ended up winning. And I was going, "You're Keegan Ducky's just gone. How the hell did you do that?" And I'm going, "I don't know. I just got a good start and winged it." Anyway, then the following week, it's the same track and same riders, everything else, and I won again. I'm going, I'm just pinching myself, going, how on earth am I beating all these guys? And then Toowoomba got rained out, so we couldn't go up there, and then we had to go to Adelaide Wavell Showground. And I ended up Yamaha gave me the S model, and they didn't give it to Steve, and he was a bit dirty on that. And so I went down there the last minute with this S models, and the next year's model. And anyway, Danny Magoo Chandler ended up winning that race, and I got third on the night. But I sort of won the series, so it was pretty good.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, you'd be pinching yourself. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was just
because how old were you? So that was Brian Collins. So that was like 83.
83, yeah. I think it could have been somewhere around there. 83, yeah.
So how old were you then? Like when you
83, 21.
21. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was I'm 2 years still. It's 2 years older than Leesky.
Oh, really?
And
okay.
Yeah. So Leesky was getting around on these 500s and stuff, but because I was only new to the sport, everyone thought I was younger. But I wasn't. I was actually older.
Because I would have thought Leesky probably,
was.
That would add 3 or 4 years on you. Yeah.
Just
thinking about career spans and that.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, he stopped really early. He retired like 25 when he was 25. So it was really early. He just had enough in Europe, and that was it. So yeah. But he did when he went to KTM or helped KTM. He raced for KTM, so he put his boots back on and went and did the Australian Championship, which he only just missed out winning anyway because his bike broke. But so he was no slouch still, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know. I had Ando on recently, and he was telling a good story about Leesky pulling the boots back on. And
oh yeah,
when he was
he would have had some good stories about that.
He had some good stories about Leesky, showing him what's up. Yeah,
definitely.
Very good. Cool, man. We might move into a bit of thumping nats. You rode the coolest bike that ever rolled up there, in my opinion. So that Ballard's XR 630 or 640, 650, whatever, however big he'd made it.
That was 630, but
so
that
cool,
was
man.
Yeah, that was an interesting time. So the first year I rode for Jeff, because I'd retired from racing, but I was still doing Queensland Championship races and bits and pieces. And he said, "Oh, can you ride the thumping nats for us?" And I said, "Yeah, no worries." So I was down there, and I ended up grafting a whole CR front end on it, and I put the CR rear end on it. So I just had to change. So I put all the linkage, swing arm, and everything out of the CR 250 on the XR 600 frame.
Yeah.
And so that was the year that I won the Thumpernats.
Yeah.
And then the following year, the one with the little alloy tank on it,
Yeah.
that had the standard XR 600 rear end in it, and it
Okay.
wasn't as
Yeah.
good.
I never
Definitely
realized
wasn't
that,
as good.
that one of them had the back of the CR at the back. Like I knew there was a CR
Mm,
front end. Yeah.
yeah, but the whole
Yeah.
rear end that was the first year. So that was
Yeah.
what was it, 96, I think it was. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
96. Yeah, 95 could have been 95. It was
Yeah. Yeah.
96. I had number one on the bike then. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, the one with the alloy tank,
Oh,
it's got the
97. No, it was 96 I
yeah.
won. Yeah,
Yeah. The one with
but
the
yeah,
alloy tank's not the
Jeff's
one
got
with
that.
wide plates. Yeah.
Yeah, and that bike's still around. It's at
Yeah.
MX store. It's sitting up in Jeff's at MX store now, and
Yeah.
sitting there somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I've got some good like I've got a huge magazine collection and stuff, and I've got old Ballard catalogs and that sort of thing. And that bike, yeah, there's a few pictures of you and that bike in some of them Ballard's catalogs and that
Yeah,
sort of thing.
definitely.
That's where it really comes to mind is in the Ballard catalog, and
Yeah,
I
I took
think
that bike. I took that bike over to America and did the world four-stroke
oh
championships.
really?
Yeah, and that was an eye opener because FMF helped us out there, and they had the semi there and everything. But I turned up with this XR 600. Everyone over there rode XR 400s, just hotted up XR 400s.
Yeah,
But Lance Smale was the first guy to run four strokes one of the first guys in the Supercross Championship. They were running those KDM 640s or
yeah,
something or other.
yeah,
And so he was there. He was there at Glen Helen Raceway, and we were racing around there at the time. And the second motor, I whole shot the second motor, and he tried to bump me off the track over these quads, and the old XR weighs a fair bit, and he went flying off the track himself. So I led for a while, and so it was pretty good race over there.
yeah. It's ringing a bell now. I reckon I might have heard GB talk about that, taking that over there. Now that
Yeah, I took it over in suitcases. I've got a couple of
yes,
bikes
that's
over there,
it.
so
Yeah,
I had to get a CR 250 and an XR 600 so I could make a bike out of the whole thing.
yeah. Cool. Yeah. No, I have heard about that. Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome story. Did you like Glen Helen? Did you? Because
Oh, it was so they changed. We went there practicing like on the Thursday or something, and rode around this track, and then turn up on Sunday, and the thing is just totally changed. It's like a Supercross track, and
oh
I've just
right.
gone, "You're kidding me!" So we're racing around on this Supercross track. Basically, it was
Yeah.
incredible, but some big jumps like these 400s couldn't jump them. There was a big downhill out of a right hander. There was a big drop off, double down a hill, and the 400s couldn't jump it. And so there was a guy on the factory Kawasaki. I can't remember his name, but anyway, I was dicing with him, and he couldn't jump it. And then I'd jump past him on it, and then he'd pass me somewhere else, and then I'd jump past him on this 600, and he was just going bugger, because I could jump this thing, and they couldn't. But it was, it was pretty good. It was a good experience, that's for sure. And
Yeah.
hanging out with the guys from FMF, how all the Mexicans are welding all those two-stroke pipes together and
Yeah.
stuff. It was fantastic having a look at that factory, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. How much that little alloy tank on how many liters did that hold? It was like so small.
I don't know. It was
Just
enough,
enough.
enough,
Just enough.
but
Yeah,
I don't know exactly how big it was. But yeah, it would have been, I don't know, 6 liters, 7 liters, maybe.
yeah, because
Yeah,
it even had like holes in it for
yeah,
the
it had holes like for air to
conducting.
go down into
Like
the
ram
airbox a bit
air.
better and stuff
Had
like
the
that.
ram
Yeah,
air through it and everything. Work of
yeah,
art, man.
yeah.
Just such a
It
work of
was.
art. Yeah,
It
yeah,
was. It looked awesome. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And you raced at you raced also XR 650s, the water cooled ones?
No, no,
No.
no. I finished, and then that 650 came out because the XR 600 was air cooled,
Yeah.
and Craig Anderson ended up turning up with KDM on a 640. You know,
Yeah.
one of those liquid cooled and LC4 things, whatever they were called. And they had horsepower, you know, and you know the XR wasn't the lightest thing either,
Mm.
and yeah, but you know, it still whole shot his bike, so it wasn't too bad. You know, the old XR, you know,
Yeah.
it's a 630, but when those 650s come out, the water cooled,
Mm.
Michael Byrne and Cameron Taylor rode those at the
Yeah.
pump and that's, and
Yeah.
they had horsepower. They were heavy, but
Yeah.
they had horsepower. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, at least they could whole shot stuff. That's for sure.
Yeah. Must be Burner that I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Burner. Burner started with those.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Burner won a championship on the 650.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So when they just brought out the CRF 450, the first one,
Yeah.
and I got to do a couple of demo laps around the Thumper Nats track, and I'm just going, oh, I wish I could ride this thing. You know, it was just, you know, it was such a good bike, you know, compared to the XR. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. Chalk
Yeah,
and cheese. Yeah. There's no.
yeah, oh, definitely, definitely.
No comparison there. Yeah, yeah. I remember back then. I remember, there was a bit of denial, about like, oh, are these things much better than XRs? Like people kicking the tires.
Yeah.
Oh, don't know if these CRFs and these YZFs are much better than
Yeah,
XRs. XRs are pretty good. It was like,
yeah.
yeah. Eventually, everyone sort of
But
figured it out. Yeah, that's for sure.
oh
Um,
yeah, but they were huge. Like those Thumper Nats, like early days, they had so many riders, and you know, it's basically a fun thing. You know, everyone
mm,
had a blast. They were natural terrain tracks. Jeff did an awesome job organising all those events. You know,
mm,
yeah, and it was a big thing. You know, it was a
mm.
big thing.
It was a great era in the sport
Mm,
down here that'll kind of can never be can't really happen again because of everything's four stroke now. The four stroke's been a novelty is gone. So I don't know.
that's right.
I don't know how you'd replicate that. And also too, probably the thing was I remember hearing Jeff speak about it is how lucky they were to get the properties they got and how hard that would be
Oh,
nowadays.
definitely.
Because
Yeah.
though some of them
Oh,
great properties,
insurance and
the,
yeah, all that
that's
sort of stuff. Yeah.
that's the
Public
hard thing.
liability.
Yeah, it's
Mm.
such a hard thing with running events now is the insurance and just getting access to those good bits of dirt. That's
Mm.
like if we had another 4 Conondale looking places around the country, then you could
Yeah,
do an
it'd be awesome,
amazing
wouldn't it?
series like that. Like you could do an amazing series. Yeah,
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 yeah.
that's it. I know. Cruisix Ride Park down here, which it's a great place, but it's just like it's a million miles from everywhere. They ran an event there a couple of years back that was sort of thumper inspired. It was they called it the big bore or something, and it was pretty much all like big bore 4 strokes and big bore 2 strokes. So it was just like XR 600s and like KLX 650s, and people are dragging out all these old thumpers for races, but then they were doing like 500 races as well with KX 500s and CR 500s and all. And they got
Yeah.
this like they got a track there that they actually call the thumper track. It's a real throwback sort of style. That was a pretty cool event. I never went to. I was even offered a ride there, and I never went, which I kind of regret, because they only did it 1 year. So if they do it again and I get offered a ride, and I'm by no means a good rider, Belly. I say on the show
Yeah, but
every
you still
time.
have fun, and that's the main thing.
This
And
is
a
how
lot of people just go and have fun. And
Yeah,
that's why adventure riding's taken off.
yeah.
You know.
This is how much fun I have. Is I'm 48 and I'm still a C grader, but I still like doing it. So if you're
Yeah,
that
yeah,
bad,
definitely.
I'm that bad, but I still do it after that many years. So that's it.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
no,
Yeah.
good on you.
Righto, Aussies about my vintage would remember Belly's CR250 with a Recaro seat cover. That was pretty unique. A grey Recaro seat cover. Recaro was a brand of seats like sports driving seats for race cars and stuff. Bit of a different, unique sort of a sponsor back in the day for him. I don't think Recaro seat covers for dirt bikes are still around, but it wouldn't matter because you wouldn't use anything but a Guts seat cover, would you? Guts Racing, the best seats in the world. Gutsracing.com. That's a really easy website to remember. Gutsracing.com. As used by CDR Yamaha, Belly's old rival, hey? Craig Dack Racing. They're using Guts seat covers. Jed Beaton out there this year just crushing it with the Guts seat cover. Also, while we're talking Aussies, Empire Kawasaki, all the Austrian brand teams, just damn near everyone in the pits, honestly, at the Aussie in the Aussie Nationals and the Aussie Supercross are running Guts seats. In the States, Club MX, Phil, his last season, well, or was it his last? We think so, maybe on a Guts seat. Kenny won the last round of the WSX on a Guts seat. Also, PRMX Kawasaki, AEO KTM, Motor Concepts Racing. Vince is out there in Arena Cross on a Guts seat. There you go. Next Level KTM as well. Phoenix Honda. So there you go. KP and Vince and Brees all out there in the Arena Cross on Guts seats. And let's not forget the Rockstar Husqvarnas and the Rockstar Gas. You can obviously get seat covers from Guts. You can also get complete seats. You can get seat bases. You can get the ultralight seat foam. You can get custom seats with bumps, with wide wings. You can get a huge range of colors. If you can think of a color, they'll have it. You can even get the ballistic material, especially if you're a knee brace guy that's really tearing up the sides of your seat. You can get tall seats in 2 different sizes. You can even get a Velcro fitment seat. But if you are tackling the job with the traditional staple gun method, your seat cover will come with a QR code. You scan that code, it will take you to a video where you'll see the man himself, Andy Gregg, showing you the best way to install that seat cover. That's some pretty amazing service, isn't it? Unbelievable. As privateer hero Scott Meshy says, they are a butt gripper and they will make you a ripper. So get around them. Gutsracing.com. That's a really easy website to remember, isn't it? Gutsracing.com. All right, let's get back and talk a little bit more with Aussie legend Glen Bell about his career and all that sort of good stuff. Cheers. Cool, man. I reckon we'll just move on a little bit. We covered up your career pretty well. We're just onto some favorite things. Like I like people's some of the favorites. What's like your favorite, most memorable like race ever?
It'd be Tokyo Supercross.
Okay, I thought you were going to
That
say
I
Tokyo. Yeah.
Yeah, that was unbelievable for me, you know. And
Mm.
also the 125 GP in Europe. I rode a GP there, and that was really good because I was in both motos. I was running fifth for most of the races, but they were 45 plus 2 laps, and I wasn't used to that. You know, it was
Yeah.
just a one-off race I went over, and I got passed. You know, a few times. I think I finished 7th overall or something, but if I would have finished where I was running, like 2/5, I would have been up there a lot higher, you know. So, but yeah, that was a great event, and Tokyo was next level because they all brought because all the factories wanted all the American stars over there. So,
Mm.
and they all had 4 riders per team.
Yeah.
Yamaha, Kawasaki, they all had 4 riders.
Yeah.
And and then they have, myself, Jeff Lees, Erica Bors, a couple other Europeans there as well. So to qualify, you still had to qualify. There was 3 sessions, and you had to qualify. And there was a jump. They had quads there originally, but they want us to jump the whole 4 jumps. And Roger DeCosta goes, because all the team managers got together and said, "Oh, we know what you want the boys to do, but the landing ramp's not big enough." So they pushed all the dirt from the 3rd jump onto the 4th jump to make a better landing ramp. And this jump was huge. And so Mickey Diamond was the only guy to jump it in the first practice. In the second practice I was in, it was Jeff Lees. There was probably 4 of us jumped it. I jumped it. And as I was coming back in, Ricky Johnson was going out in the 3rd practice. And he goes, what gear was you jumping that thing in? I couldn't believe it, And but anyway, then I lined up for the main. I'm like, got Damon Bradshaw's like to the left of me and Jeff Stan is to the right of me. And I thought when we left the gate, I thought, I clicked 3rd too early, but it ended up pulling past Stanton's bike, and I sort of led going into the first turn, but the first turn was a 180 onto this big triple, and I didn't think you'd be able to do it from a 180-degree corner because we'd never practiced that. We only did it from a 90-degree corner coming onto from the track.
Yeah.
And so I didn't jump it. Jean-Michel Bale and Ricky Johnson, they were like the next to me, and they just held it on up the up ramp just wide open, and they both cased it. But they ended up getting past me. So I was chasing Bale around for a while, and I'm just going, "You're kidding." I'm just going, "I can't believe I'm keeping up with you guys for a bit," So I ended up 5th in that race as well. But there was like Damon Bradshaw passed me, and Jeff Ward, I think it was, and that was about it. So, but there was so many factory riders over there. It was unbelievable. And at the end of the night, Roger DeCosta was talking to my friend there, and he goes, "Oh, you should bring him over to the States. We'll help him out with some stuff." But I was getting older then, but I was still riding okay, and I just had too much of a deal in Australia to let go, so I just went, I'll just stay in Australia. But there was a couple other things. I could have gone to Europe, do 125 World Championships one year, and turn that down too. So,
what was the year that you did the 125 GP? What year was that?
Probably 89, maybe.
So on a Honda,
yeah, on a Honda, yeah. So there was a guy that was going to sponsor us over there. He had AJ Whiting. He was an American rider, and he'd come out to Australia to do some supercrosses. He did Coffs Harbour Supercross and a few things, and he was doing the GPs over there at the time. So I rode one of his practice bikes, and I ended up beating him at the time. So so I was going to ride basically over there for the following year. So but I ended up turning that down too.
That's all right. That's all right. You had a hell of a career in Australia, man. So yeah.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. It was fantastic. And I couldn't wish for anything more, I guess. And, it was good.
8-time national champion. Yeah, 8. Is
Yeah,
that right?
yeah.
And then a couple of thumping-ats as well.
Yeah, and then a couple of Australian Supercross championships, and but a lot of Supercrosses. I've won so many Supercross races. It was over the years because we had so many of them.
Had so many,
So it was good. I remember it was John Fenn's events, and 5 of his events he has 3 finals in each event, and I was coming up to, there was 15 races straight I'd won of his races.
Yeah, you'd have
So
to be. You'd have to be like a. It's funny that the statistics are so hard to track on Aussie races.
yeah, yeah,
You'd have to be the winningest Supercross rider.
yeah. I
You'd have to
probably,
be.
yeah, because
Yeah,
I'd well, yeah, it'd be over 70 Supercrosses that
yeah,
I've
yeah,
won
yeah,
over those times, and you don't have them now, so you can't. Well, we
yeah,
had 4 rounds this year, so you
yeah,
can't
yeah.
compete with when you got like 28 Supercrosses a year,
That's right.
So
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it's
No one's catching that. Yeah.
and we had so many practice tracks around back then because we were doing so many Supercrosses. Everyone had a practice track,
Mm.
and yeah, so we did a lot of practicing Supercross. So that's why we got sort of pretty good at it.
Mm.
They were bringing a lot of Americans out, and we sort of run pretty well with them, like
Yeah,
fairly top Americans.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. They bring a few out each year and that sort of thing, and yeah, yeah,
And they do that now. So
yeah.
Cloudy rode really well this year.
He did. Yeah,
He got third, and Jed Beaton got fourth. So
yeah. Jed did amazing.
those
I reckon.
guys are
I was
running.
pumped
Yeah,
for Jed because nobody kind of expected it because what was it, 9 years or something since he'd done a Supercross season. Like because
yeah,
with his
yeah.
time in Europe and everything, it was a big break. Seemed like
Oh, definitely.
I think that was kind of as a senior, that was pretty much his first Supercross season.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but you'd hear the stories about how hard Jed was working as well, how hard he was working on Supercross for him, and
Oh, for sure.
the big brother, Ross was cracking the whip and getting him
Yeah,
geared right
yeah.
up. But did amazing, Yeah. So we were talking about favorites. What about a favorite teammate?
Teammate. Oh,
Yeah,
Dale Britton
Dale Britton.
from WA.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he lived with he was a teammate with Honda,
Mm.
and he lived with me for a couple of years in Brisbane, and we'd go training together all the time, go ride together, and stuff like that. So it was awesome. He was really good good guy to travel around with. That's for sure. He has a motorcycle shop in WA now, so
Mm.
he's going great guns.
It was you and him that used to do the MC Mart ads, wasn't it? Was it you that was that era? He was your
Yeah,
teammate.
MC Mark.
You guys would
Yeah,
do the
definitely.
MC Mart ads. Yeah, I always remember those. Yeah.
Yeah, we were the first ones to do it. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Around about sort of 1990, that sort of era.
yeah, around that era. Yeah, yeah,
Around that era,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
and
always.
91.
I'm
Yeah.
a big fan of old
So we
old
had
ads. So yeah, big fan of
yeah, we
old,
had
old ads and
posters,
stuff.
all
So
sorts
yeah,
of
I
stuff.
love all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Always remember. I remember a lot of events and teams and riders and what they rode and that and the years and that from the old ads. So yeah,
Mm,
very cool. What
mm.
about a favorite track?
I don't really have. Been asked that question that many times.
Yeah,
I don't really have a favorite track.
yeah, yeah.
I like all different types of surfaces,
Okay,
supercross,
yeah,
motocross, whatever. It doesn't matter. I just like riding a motorcycle,
nice.
and so yeah, I don't really like. There's a lot of good tracks, and I
Yeah,
don't really have a favorite one. You
yeah,
know, like Conondale's a great track. They have
yeah, yeah.
good
Of course.
events there.
Yeah,
It doesn't really matter. A corner's a corner. Hard pack, soft pack, sand tracks, whatever. Doesn't matter. You're just riding a bike. That's the best thing.
that's it. And then on bikes, what about your favorite race bike?
Um, probably probably 89 CR 250.
Okay.
That'd be my favorite one, I guess.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know. Um, but I liked 125s. I liked 500s. The 500s when I raced, they got phased out basically, and
yeah.
everyone just rode 250s
Mm.
because it was 250 Supercross, and so they just went. Everyone was getting 250s. So yeah, so they just ditched the 500s mostly. They just had the Australian 500 title,
Yeah.
and that was it. So you'd just pull a 500 out just to do that race, and obviously the Think Desert race
Yeah.
if you wanted to do that. So you had to do that on the 500.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, but I liked riding all bikes. So I won more 125 titles than anything, but I
Mm.
also won a couple of 500 championships too. So I liked all bikes, and it didn't really matter.
Yeah, you used to get thrown on the 125 a lot for Motocross of Nations too, didn't you?
Yeah, so I did it 7 times,
Mm.
and we got fourth. That
Yep.
was the best at the time for a
Yeah.
lot of years,
Yeah.
until Reedy, and I think Metcalf and
And
Moss. I
Mossy.
think.
Yeah. They
Yeah,
got third.
so
They got third. Yeah. Yeah.
they got third, and then they come through for the win
They
last
did.
year
Yeah.
or this
Yeah.
year. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was
It's
that was
amazing, isn't
incredible.
it? It is
Yeah,
incredible. Yeah. It's just,
but you
yeah.
got a couple of incredible talents there,
Yeah.
in
Oh,
the
yeah.
Lawrence boys.
Yeah.
So Jet's arguably the best in the world at the moment. So
Yeah. Oh, he's the best in the world at the
it's
moment, I think.
mm,
And
mm.
there's one day we might be saying, one day, probably not the distant future, we might be saying he's the best ever. Like
Yeah. Well, you never
who
know.
knows?
Hey,
Like, is
you
nothing
could.
that nothing that kid does from here on in will surprise me. Like I just,
No, it doesn't phase. He doesn't get phased at all about
yeah.
any race now. He just lines up and goes for the win.
How cool
So
was how cool was that the his qualifying lap at Melbourne?
oh yeah,
Oh
pretty yeah,
man,
it's pretty cool.
that was something else, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was
But
sitting
it was
there with
the
my
same
yeah,
in Paris.
yeah,
Same in
yeah,
Paris, and
yeah,
everyone he does, like even in the AMA, they
yeah,
do those flyers, man. They get on the gas. He gets on the
yeah,
gas.
yeah. It
But
was that.
he's such a good racer. I'm
Yeah,
picking lines and things. You know, someone could ride maybe as fast, but you got to be a racer as well. There's been a lot of good riders, but some of them win more than others because they know how to race better than anyone else.
mm. Yeah. No, it's incredible. I think I think they're in a whole lot of trouble this year. Like I always like I'd like him not to win so much sometimes because like I want a good racing. Like like
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
saying last
yeah,
year, I want him to win it. I wanted him to win the championship last year, like in the last round, like
yeah.
fighting to the end, and win it
Mm.
rather than smash everyone. I reckon this year he's going to smash everyone. That's my prediction.
Yeah, yeah. He learns very fast. That's for
Like
sure.
he's
You
only
know.
getting better, and the other fellas are getting a bit older, and he's getting better. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because
yeah,
once like Webb and Tomac and Anderson all retire, there's got to be some up and coming younger
yeah,
guys that have to fill their shoes.
yeah.
So
There'll be, like at the moment, everyone's sort of, obviously Hayden Deegan's coming. He's amazing too. So
mm,
um, he's coming, but yeah, there'll be others that'll pop up, and sometimes you get the 250 guys, and they weren't like a phenom in 250s, but then they're amazing 450. Like Chase Sexton, he was a good 250 rider, but he wasn't like, wow, this guy's going to just be incredible. But he just went to another
mm.
level on a 450. So, there'll be a couple of
Didn't
those.
he? Yeah, definitely. And he was really young to step onto a 452. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
and they just threw him straight in because what happened? He got someone's ride, someone retired or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. I can't remember
On the
exactly,
Honda, yeah, on the
but
Honda, someone retired or
yeah,
something, or got hurt, and they just said, "Well, why don't you just?" Because he was doing the same times as Ricky Carmichael or something, and he go, "Well, there you go. Why don't you just stay?" Or was it Roxon? Could have been Roxon,
yeah.
and so they just went, "Well, you just stay on the 450 then."
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's
And I
where all
remember
that
thinking then,
started.
like, I don't know if he's ready for that, And then he got to the 450 and just blossomed, just fit it,
Yeah,
he just fits it. So
yeah. Like he's got
yeah,
a really good style of riding.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
good to watch. That's for sure.
He's unlucky, man. He's unlucky that Jet's around. That's all. Because like Chase is
I
incredible.
know.
He's
Like
incredible. He's just
with
there's
that
another one
race,
that's a bit better even.
yeah, with that race that year with just Tomac and Sexton going at it,
20,
and
2022 outdoors.
yeah,
That's the
they
one
were
you think
just
of.
going at it.
That's one of the best seasons ever. That was incredible.
Yeah,
Every moto,
and
just
yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then Jet comes along,
And he's
and
better.
it's like,
you can't imagine watching 2022 outdoors. You couldn't imagine anyone going faster than what those two guys were going.
yeah,
And then
like they were on a mission.
Jet turns
Yeah,
up, hold my beer. Like it's
yeah.
it's crazy, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it was pretty special.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. What about have you got any funny stories from those long road trips getting around Australia? Any funny stories from that? Any breakdowns or hitchhiking or any of that sort of crazy stuff?
Yeah, not too much.
Not too much.
Um,
The high aces were too
no,
reliable.
there was there was a there was a funny story in America though, where
Okay,
these
yeah,
guys were in with it was Stephen Gall and Jeff Lease was in another car, and these guys, there was a couple of Americans in Jeff's rental car. Well, it wasn't Jeff's rental car, it's one of the Americans, I think. And
yeah,
Jeff was driving or something, and they were on this dirt road, and Stephen's all good for a handbrake turn and all that sort of stuff, and a bit of sliding around. But Jeff was like Peter Laskowski. He was Jeff's mechanic. He was in our car,
yeah.
and we were going up and down the road, and they were doing just handbrake turns everywhere. And Peter was looking out the back, and he's gone, man, they've rolled it. And Leishke's in the car and that, and they were upside down in a ditch when we got down there. So we go, what's going on? So one of the Americans was ripped the handbrake on without knowing what Jeff was going to be doing, and
Oh,
they threw it upside down in the ditch, and they're going, man, what are we going to do? So because we rolled the car back on its wheels, and they're going, what are we going to do? And they went, how about we just roll it back in the ditch and just say it was stolen? So that's what they did. That's what they did. So they all just piled in our car, and there was like 8 of us in our car, and then we just drove back to the hotel. And then they going, we drove past that street every day and going, man, the car's still there. I can't believe it's still there. But it was just the look on Peter's face when he's going, man, they've rolled it, And I was like, we were cracking up. But anyway,
nice. Yeah,
no, that's about
rental
all
car
that I've got.
story. That's a good one, though.
Yeah, it's always rental car stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's plenty of them. Yeah, absolutely.
Not
All
so
right,
much now, though. Yeah.
Belly, I've kept you a fair while. I might just move on. Just I like to ask a few other things about what people get up to. Like, what else are you into? Are you into like any other sports or into
No, I
music?
do a little bit of mountain bike riding. That's about it. Yeah, just on the farm doing a lot of slashing and bits and pieces, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
trying to
How
clear
big's
up
the
and
farm?
pulling the lantana up.
How big's the farm?
We're on my father-in-law's place. There's a couple hundred acres, and they're getting on a little bit, and I thought we need to give them a bit of a hand, so look after the place. So we moved up here, built a place up here on a couple hundred acres, and it's it's a lot to maintain, that's for sure. You're always chasing your tail, doing other stuff
What
as
sort of
well.
farm is it?
Oh, just some cattle, So
Yeah,
we got
yeah.
some cattle here, and so just trying to keep weeds down a bit and all that sort of stuff, and fences and bits and pieces. So
Yeah.
that keeps us busy.
That's it. Now you got to build a supercross track on there for your young bloke.
But yeah, just he likes going mountain biking as well. He goes riding with his friends, and I go along and show him how to ride up hills and bits and pieces. So No, it's pretty good. The old mountain biking, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
and we go swimming. We're not far from Noosa, so we go down swimming at Noosa and stuff in the ocean. So yeah, it's good. Love it up here.
That's sort of what you do to relax, go to the beach a bit and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. It's good. And we climb all the mountains around here. Like there's Mount Pomona, Mount Coolum. Um, you know, so we do a bit of that as well.
Well,
So
like hiking.
just keeps you active and keeps you fit. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's good fun.
Good fun. Hiking's good fun, man. Yeah, I only recently
Mm,
got into it, and I like it. It's good. It's good.
yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Yeah. It is.
Mm.
That's the way. That's the way. All right. I won't hold you up any longer. It's been great fun talking to you, man. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, no worries. It's a pleasure.
I'll make
Mm.
sure I introduce myself properly and shake your hand at the next national I get to, and that's
Yeah.
right. I was going to tell you a little bit about Penrite. So just one more thing, a little bit about Penrite.
Mm.
My dad growing up, dad raced cars, and he got told at one stage, he used to build his own engines and that sort of thing, and there was always, what sort of oil are we going to run and that sort of thing, and everyone would be talking who's running what oil and that, and the hot ticket. This is sort of early 80s. The hot ticket was that you got to run Penrite. Penrite's the best stuff. It's a little Aussie brand and that sort of thing. So he started running Penrite in the race car, and then he had the local tire service, and he used to sell batteries and different things. So he became a Penrite dealer, and it was really unusual. People were like, "What's this stuff? What's this brand? What's going on here?" And he'd be like, "Oh, this is a little Australian brand and all that." So he was the local Penrite man, and so he always ran Penrite. He used to get upset with me though because I had to run in my two strokes. I'd only run Castrol because all the fast guys ran Castrol. So you don't need
All
to
the
buy
fast
that.
guys.
You don't need to buy Castrol. Run the Penrite.
Mate, it's been unreal. Like, I've been with Penrite for quite a while. They took me down to early days. They took me down to the Broadford Bike Bonanza, and just to ride around on the vintage bikes and bits and pieces, And then they wanted me to go around and do all the Penrite nationals, the Pro MX nationals, and but they've grown so much. It's just everywhere. Like it's all through any store that you look that's got oils. There's
Yeah.
Penrite there, and they pride themselves on the quality of oils that they produce. And yeah, it's just phenomenal. It's a great company, great Aussie company still, and it's still growing. So reaching out into all markets of like all the motorcycling oils and things and cars, earth moving, doesn't matter, you name it. They got a little iPad in like super cheap stores and things, and you can put your rego number in or whatever, and it'll tell you exactly what oils for every part of that car or bike or tractor or truck. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. I still use it, man. I still use it in all our cars, even though like Dad hasn't been a Penrite dealer for it's a long time now, 20 years or something. I don't know, but I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
I just had loyal. I'm a very loyal person, so I still use it.
Mm.
But I still buy Castrol, old school Castrol from my old two strokes.
Idea. Yeah.
I'm still the same Castrol and the two stroke, Penrite and everything else, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. I can't believe how many. I remember, I'd help like order it, and there was, back in those days, there was HPR 50, HPR 30, and there may be one other, and then there was, like the auto trends, and there would be maybe two different ones. The whole stock of Penrite back in, like in 1985, it was like 12 products, and now you go into like super cheap, and it's like, wow, it's like.
Yeah.
I remember there was
It's
HPR
huge.
diesel. If you had a
Yeah.
diesel, you use HPR diesel. There was just one. So,
Yeah. Now there's so many all the engine refinements and everything.
yeah.
They got to have specific oils for different things now and all that, So yeah, it's pretty technical these days.
It is, yeah. Very good. Dude, the last thing I do on the show, I for my outro music is I sing a little bit of Kenny Rogers. And it's a weird, funny thing, and there's a backstory that I won't bore you with, but I always say if anybody knows the words to The Gambler, they're more than welcome to join in. Don't feel bad if you don't. Most people
I
don't.
I've never been into that much music. I like music, but I don't listen to it all the time. And yeah, I never used to I don't listen to that much music in the car. I just like being in my own head, and
Yeah.
so I probably won't know the song, the words to that song.
That's all right.
But go ahead.
I'll ease you to that. It's sometimes I think, do I need to keep doing this? But I think it's a tradition. I've sort of got to keep doing it now. I've been doing it for
Yeah, good on you.
71 episodes now. So
Yeah, that's unreal.
that's it. So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. Then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light. And the night got deathly quiet, and his face lost all expression. Said, if you're going to play the game, boy, you got to learn to play it right. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. Belly, thank you very much for your time tonight. It's been a pleasure talking about your career and all things Aussie Moto. Good
Yeah,
fun.
good on you, Steve. Yeah,
Good
awesome. Thanks
good
very
times, man.
much.
Thank you very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
I will. Thank you.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.